Well, hello there folks. So it's been about 6 months since I've started my online money making journey, and in that time I've managed to try quite a few things with varying levels of success. And it's also been about 3 months since I started this YouTube channel to, I guess, sort of just share my progress. So I guess that's what I'm going to do in this video here today. I feel like I've hit a bit of a milestone at this point, and I think it's time for a little bit of reflection. But you know what? The weather's actually pretty nice today, so why don't we go do all that outside? Let's go ahead and head out. All right, we're outside. Well, it's actually a bit colder than I thought it would be. Not quite as nice, but we persevere. All right, let's get into the stats. So I have it open here, and in total, in the past couple of months, I've actually earned about 7,387 euros, and that translates to about 8,500 in burger money, US dollars that is. So actually that's, a pretty good chunk of change. So let's go ahead and just break down how exactly I earned all of that money. So the main methods that I've been using is basically, I've been freelancing for a whole bunch of different websites. In the past videos, I've called them sort of beer money sites, but they're basically just sites in which you can do little tasks. In my case, it's basically freelance UX and UI testing type of work. And I've been doing that for the majority of the money that I've been earning, and it's been a pretty good success so far. So I ended up trying many of these sites, probably more than 10, I would imagine. And in the end, I found that only about 3 of them were actually worth my time because they earned me any actual, relevant amount of money. So the only sites that earned me more than a couple of bucks would be Usertesting.com, the sister site of Usertesting, which is IntelliZoom, and Prolific.com. Man, I tried a whole bunch of other sites like Testing Time, User Interviews, and Userlytics, and in all of these I was applying for these studies probably every single day when they were available for the last couple of months, 6 months in total, and I probably had no more than 1 or 2 or maximum 3 tests that I actually qualified for in that whole time period. So yeah, in the end, it probably didn't earn me more than 50 bucks in 6 months on any of those sites. Let's talk about the site that I earned the majority of my income with, the site that was most successful for me, and that was Usertesting.com, and it probably represents 90% of my earnings in the last couple of months. I've completed over 900 tests on Usertesting.com, and that's earned me about a bit more than $7,600, which is paid off in US dollars, of course, over PayPal. Also, about 2 months ago, I started using the sister site, which is IntelliZoom, and to be honest, it's basically the same thing, but worse. The whole website is really poorly made. It seems really not very fleshed out at all. You can't even check your test history. You can't check the amount of tests that you've done. The only way the entire site communicates with you is basically by sending you confirmation emails when you actually finish doing the tests on it. So basically all they do is they send you a couple emails here and there, and overall in the end I probably did end up making some money. I've completed about 14 tests, which ended up earning me probably a bit under $140. Not only that, the site actually pays a bit worse than Usertesting as well. Instead of the standard $10 per test, they pay you $8 US per test. So overall, it is definitely just worse. And I got ambushed by the rain. Let's hope my camera doesn't break. Well, I sprinted back home. Turns out today was not, in fact, a nice day. One thing about springtime in Germany is the rain really is absolutely freezing. I can't even feel my hands right now. Oof. Man, my hands are still cold. I think I need a coffee. All right, where were we? So, pros and cons of usertesting.com. Well, let's start with the pros. Pro number one, each individual test is honestly pretty quick, probably about an average of 10 minutes, and it pays an average again of 10 US dollars. You have an opportunities to also land these Zoom style interviews, which are honestly really good because they pay you basically $1 a minute at $60 per hour of a one Zoom interview. And in my opinion, usertesting.com is genuinely a really good and really easy source for a side income. Let's talk about some of the cons because of course there are some. Well, con number one would be that tests really do appear just randomly throughout the whole day, which means you could be logged in one day and see absolutely nothing, and you could be off away from your computer another day and you could be missing 10 tests. Con number two, you will be rejected from 90% of the tests, and that is normal because they're looking for highly specific people. But that can be pretty demotivating because you really won't land the majority of the tests that you apply for. Another thing I do have to address is that in the past couple of months, I seem to have run into a bit of an issue with the website, and that's because I thought I was basically banned from the website because for a period of almost 1 to 2 weeks, I did not receive a single test. And that doesn't mean that I applied for tests, but I just didn't qualify for any. I literally received 0 tests at all. I messaged the support. I got basically absolutely nothing useful back from them. They said my account was fine and everything was normal. And in the end, it just took some time, and eventually I did start getting tests again. It was just a 2-week period where it just felt like I was banned or something. So that's another con, the support of user testing, not too supportive. So again, in the end, I did regain access to those tests, and at this point, it's pretty on and off. There will still be several days in which I don't receive any tests, and some days where I receive up to 20. Overall, it is just pretty unpredictable and pretty unreliable. Well, some bad luck today. Looks like I got caught out in the rain, but hey, at least half the video is done. I guess I'll continue with the next half tomorrow. And we're back. Another day, another try. So let's get right back to it. The second most successful method of earning money so far is with the site called prolific.com. On that site, I've probably completed over 200 tests at this point and earned a bit more than £400. Pounds because it pays you in GBP, it pays you in pounds, but it did introduce a new multi-currency system lately, so you can also start to receive tests that will pay you out in US dollars, and that's actually a negative because, well, the currency is weaker, so comparatively you're getting paid a bit less. So let's get a bit into the pros and cons of Prolific. A pro is definitely that most of the studies that you complete on the site are basically university studies. And if you're a former or current university student, you can definitely appreciate how meaningful that kind of feedback can be. Another is that you sometimes get paid out bonuses. And even though it happens very rarely, it does feel good. I think it's happened probably 3 or 4 times at this point, and I actually received one bonus payment of $5. So hey, somebody really did appreciate it. All right, let's get out of here. Well, guys, honestly, it's still really cold, even though it's another day. Alright, let's get into some of the cons of prolific.com. Number one is definitely that the average test length is longer than on user testing, and that means that the technical average hourly wage that you'll be receiving on the site is quite a bit lower. Tests can range up to almost half an hour in length. The average rate is probably somewhere around £7 an hour if you're really doing it full time. And the second con would be that a lot of the tasks really are kind of tedious because they do require you to pay attention. A lot of them have these sort of attention check questions where they're basically just making sure that you're actually reading the question. Like in a giant massive text, it will say something like, if you're really reading this, please press option 3 or something like that. And if you miss that, of course, you're going to get kicked out of the test. And if that's half an hour into a test, you just wasted half an hour. So let's get into the last couple of sites that I used to earn money in the past couple of months. I'm going to combine all of these together into one category because collectively all of them together probably earned me about $50-60. One pro, well, there's very few, but one of them I guess is that they do hand out those Zoom interview type of tests, and that means they actually do pay a lot better if you do manage to land them because they do pay you €1 a minute. A con would be it is very difficult to actually book any tests. I was consistently applying to every single possible test I could across multiple sites. That's probably 3 or 4 tests a day per site, and in the end, in a total of 6 months, I probably landed around maybe 3 or 4 collectively across all of the sites. So yes, the tests are on there, but good luck getting any of them. So after all of this, what do I recommend? If you're just trying to earn a bit of pocket money, a bit of money on the side, a bit of a side hustle, I would recommend Usertesting.com because you absolutely can earn pretty good money on there. Even if it is inconsistent, just try applying just for several tests a day. You will definitely make pretty decent money collectively over time. You absolutely can earn pretty good money on the site. I've been doing it for months now, but like I said, at the end of the day, it really is just inconsistent, and that's why I wouldn't recommend it for anything more than sort of a side income stream, a bit of a side hustle. I think that's the best use of sites like user testing. All right, well, sun's going down. I guess we should start heading back. Oof. Alright, so let's go ahead and wrap things up. What would I tell the me from 6 months ago? Well, one of the things would definitely be that I would encourage myself to go out and try different stuff. Because at the end of the day, different things work for different people, especially when it comes to things like self-employment and freelance work. There's so many things that you could potentially do. I sometimes like to think of the concept of self-employment and just freelance work in general as being kind of equivalent to being stuck on an abandoned island somewhere and all around you is just pieces of driftwood. So you go around gathering all of this driftwood to make yourself a raft so that one day you'll have something to be able to cross the ocean of uncertainty. And think of those individual pieces of driftwood as sort of being individual income streams. You're going around, you're trying to gather enough income streams to be able to support yourself. And that's exactly why I too have been trying to sort of branch out and build multiple income streams, with my nearest one being the project of starting an online store that sells both physical and digital goods, in this case on Etsy. And that's probably going to be the very next video that's coming out. So if that's something you're interested in, consider subscribing, maybe even hit the like button. But I guess that's about it for this video. I'll go ahead and wish you a good day or a good evening, wherever you may be. And of course, take care. Research sites, and they basically just have a couple of